All right, shalom, shalom. Start off by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Machak Wadash. Peace and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the men that taught us the truth, that rule well in truth and in doctrine. Shalom to the elect. We're going to start it off right here. And I do want to get the book of Luke, all right, because as it is written, nothing is new under the sun. All right, this is the book of Luke 2 and verse 1. And it says, "And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus." Now, when you go into Second Ezra, the 11th and 12th chapters, it mentions the eagle that had these feathers, right? The 12 feathers of those 12 Caesars, right? And Augustus is the second. He's after Julius Caesar. Okay, so Augustus Caesar, okay, and he had a very long reign relative to the other Caesars, right? But Augustus Caesar did what? It says that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And this is around the time that Yahushua is getting ready to be born. All right. So, and this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria, and all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city. Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. So this is right before Yahushua was to be born. All right, but the point of me bringing it out is because the same thing is happening now with Donald Trump, which we refer to as Nero, okay, because myself and many other brothers believe that he is Nero in the reincarnation. Okay, so this was happening back then, all right? The whole world was to be taxed, and the tariff is just another tax. And how about you outside Brakatah to the brother Shamyar and everybody tuning in, that may tune in, all right? So, the point being that this is evidence that we're once again in the Roman Empire, because this is the greatest taxing basically in history that we're witnessing, where it's an actual global tax. Now, there was a great taxing back then, and it said that all the world should be taxed, but the world at the time was basically, within the realm of the Roman Empire. There was still other nations and things that was outside of that pole. All right, but now we have it to where the Roman Empire now, which is America, Babylon the Great, all right, they have pull over all of the nations of the globe. Okay, so this is the greatest taxing that we're witnessing right now. All right, the taxes on the imports. Okay, and what's that going to lead to? More economic birthing pains. All right, so I have a few scriptures that pertain, which I wrote them down here, and whatever else comes to mind, we can get that too. Well, matter of fact, one that I didn't write on here, but I was thinking of, we're gonna get it in Zephaniah, okay? Because right now we're seeing those birthing pains. All right, measuring the time diligently. All right, Zephaniah, get straight to the point. All right, Zephaniah 1 and 11. How ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. Right, merchants. Okay, they are cut off, right? And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish the men that are settled on their leaves, that say in their heart, the Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. Right. There's many of our people, including these these other false Israelite camps that are false prophets. Okay. Like the IUIC, they said there's not going to be a time of Jacob's trouble. But the Lord he brings good times and he brings evil times. We're in a time of an evil time right now. So the Lord is going to do that. Therefore, their goods shall become a booty and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me jump to the 10th verse. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and an howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. That crashing, all right, in reference to what? The stock market crash. Okay, prophetically speaking. Okay, now that great crashing now is coming in the form of a what? A stock market crash. Okay, First Timothy, and this is why the scriptures like this, because there's certain brothers you might have money on the stock market. I had some money on there, and I lost a little bit, but I ain't even sweating it, man, because prophecy is popping off, man. We've got to be willing to lose whatever it is in order to win Yahweh Shai. So, we do the best we can. If you can make a little extra buck here and there, you do what you can, because it's ultimately for the body of Yahweh Shai, for the brotherhood, anyways. Whatever the Lord gave us is, in a certain way, is supposed to be distributed amongst the saints. All right. So we don't sit here and say, yeah, go broke on purpose, or just be foolish with your money. There's a level of wisdom, but at the same time, you got to look at the bigger picture. All right, we got to look at the bigger picture and realize that prophecies coming to pass. We are going to lose things. Okay, 1 Timothy 6:3. If any man teach otherwise, and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness. All right. So these are the words we're supposed to take heed to. If anybody doesn't teach these, if any man teach otherwise, right, he is proud, knowing nothing. You see, and pride is a motherfucker, man. Pride will have you out here looking real bad, man. You see, and I see pride on everyday people, and even in myself, I see certain things that I know I have to work on, man. Because as a man, all of us have a certain level of pride, so we always have to be mindful. Even though to the best of our ability, we strive to be humble, at times you could catch yourself being prideful about things. So we always got to check ourselves, man. Okay. But the difference between us and the world is that these people, they never think like that. They're just walking in the way of pride to the max, you know, without considering the consequences of that pride. Okay. So this is 1 Timothy 6:4 again. He is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words, whereof cometh envy, strife, railings, evil surmisings. Yeah, this shit is weird. It's asking me to share. YouTube might have just added this to share a referral link for money. We ain't asking for that's Satan, because we don't get on here asking for donations, man. Now, if you want to contribute to the brothers, then you can reach out through the proper channels. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing. But we're not up here with like a Cash App tag. Yeah, that's what it's asking me to put right now. That's the first time I've seen that, and it's kind of obstructing my view from the. It's kind of annoying because I can't really see the comments, but it's all good. We're gonna keep rolling anyways. It says, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness, from such withdraw thyself. Right? What does that mean? That they see the truth as a vehicle to make money. You see? Okay, they see the truth as a vehicle to make money. People like Bishop Nathaniel, people like General Yohana, they have the big elaborate Passovers, and everybody got to pay a fee. They'll do skits about paying your fee. They've turned they've sought to turn this ministry into something worldly, man. All right, and this is why we have to go back into the scripture of 1 John 2:15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. You see, and people that love the world right now and are deep into the world, they are suffering right now the most. Okay, they're losing a lot of money. Nero's coming down. The devil, Donald Trump is coming down with great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time. So we can see that things are popping off, man, big time. And it's just going to continue to increase and increase and increase. It's not going to slow down. You see? So, this dude is bold, man. He is extremely bold. The Lord has put a spirit on him to be bold, to be, basically kicking ass and taking names, not accepting no bullshit. And he's causing all of the nations of the world to hate America, the horse. So this is a major fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Everything that Trump is doing, And the Christian church, they don't have any comments on this. They don't have any breakdown on it because they never been dealing with prophecy. See, the men that have been dealing in prophecy, that the Lord has gave the spirit of prophecy, they're going to be able to break these things down to you. They're going to be able to tell you, yeah, this is a fulfillment of America being hated by the rest of the nations of the earth, because they don't even know that America is Babylon the Great. Okay? If you know that America is Babylon the Great, that means what? That she's that great whore that's going to be despised by all the nations. Okay? But reading on, all right, it says, but godliness with contentment is great gain, right? To be content is what? To be satisfied with what we have. That's why the scriptures warn us against covetousness, man. There's laws against being covetous, desiring what somebody else has. We have to be content with what we have, man. And this world, it'll try to make you covetous. You know, most of these people that are walking around here are extremely covetous. They want to be like Jay-Z and Beyonce. They want to be they want to be like the rich and the famous, like celebrities, not realizing that those people are piss poor in the spirit. Okay, they have no spiritual enrichment. Okay, we all like nice things, man, but we want to be satisfied with what the portion that the Lord gave us. All right, so it says, but we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Yeah, and that's what Job said. When Job lost it all, he said, yeah, let me see if I can get it. Yeah, Job, the first chapter, man. Go ahead and grab that. Yeah, this is Job. And this is the right mindset to be in right here. Job 1 and 21. It says, I'll read from 20. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. So instead of, turning his back on the Lord and losing his integrity and questioning, his God, which is our God, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, right? What did he do? He worshipped and said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai gave, and Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai have taken away. Blessed be the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So this is a man of the utmost integrity. That he didn't use he didn't allow the low point that he was at, be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. That scripture sums up Job's life, man, because he was patient. All right. And all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. See? So he didn't blame the Lord for what he was going through. He knew that, it was the Lord's doing, but he didn't say, oh, why did the Lord do this to me? Even though throughout the scripture, throughout the chapters, he is looking for answers, but overall, he never attributed anything negative to the Lord. He knew that the Lord was doing it, and the Lord is righteous in everything he does, man. So when we go through things, even sometimes sometimes we get punished for things we're doing wrong, but sometimes the Lord just does it just to test us, man. So, with these things happening, these economic woes and things like that, yeah, we're going to suffer as well. All right. But overall, the Lord is going to have it set up to where we're going to win. We're going to have to take losses, but we're also going to be having major wins in the spirit. Okay. And the Lord is going to be looking out for us. He's going to open up certain avenues. One door closes, look for the other one that's about to open. All right. Because the Lord is with us, man. All right. So I'm going to get into some of these scriptures that I wrote down here. Just keep this brief, but this is the book of Hebrews 13 and 5. It says, let your conversation be without covetousness. You see, that's the spirit I just mentioned in covetousness, man. Don't envy the riches of the wicked, because look what's happening to them now, man. These people that trusted in uncertain riches, look at how badly they're suffering now. Look at how much they're losing. Look at how much they're stressed out and depressed. You see? So it says, let your conversation, right, with your conversation is not just, when you have, like today's use of the word conversation is that when you're speaking to somebody, like a back and forth, a conversation. Conversation deals with your overall conduct, which the things you say is part of that. But conversation is your manner of being, your manner of life. So let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he have said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. See, so the little bit that we got, man, we got crumbs compared to the elites. You know, barely even count. You could even barely count it as a crumb compared to the trillions and trillions. Like they said, Elon Musk lost 130 bill, but he could, you know, when things, you know, the economy, you know, well, the stock market, so called, the economy is taking a hit because a lot of times people attribute the stock market and the economy, which it is a correlation, but at the same time, the stock market had been booming, but the economy is fucked up for everyday people. You see? So it's all about perspective. You see, I mean, Elon Musk, he got hundreds of billions. If he loses 130 billion, what's that to him? If the stock market booms again, he can get that right back or triple it, you know? But for us that have nothing, you know, it's, or let's say we don't look at it like that because we don't trust in absurd riches, but let's say the everyday Israelite in America, you know, they're seeing the prices of everything is going up. They don't even have money in the stock market, but they're seeing the prices going up. Rent is ridiculous, especially here in New York. Oh, forget it, man. You talking about 2,000 minimum for even a little piece of shit apartment, you know, and that's not even lasting. Now they want even more. Now they want like 2,500 for like a one bedroom. It's ridiculous, man. So, you know, they could say, oh yeah, the stock market is booming, but the economy for everyday people that are here in America are suffering. All right. But the point being what? That the Lord said what? For he have said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Okay, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Right. So they can do things to us like take our money, make it harder for us. Right now, what's happening is basically what you see in Exodus, man, when the Pharaoh made it harder for the Israelites, for our forefathers to survive because he made their burdens harder. When the economy gets tough and these times gets tougher and prices going up, what's happening? That's another version of the burden getting harder for us, man. Okay. But Yahweh Hashem Yahushua said he's with us, man. He's our helper. Okay. Let's get these people that they trust in these riches, man, they are miserable right now. So we ought not to have that same mindset. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 10. It says, He that loveth silver, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth the abundance nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity, right? So that means what? You're never going to be satisfied. Okay, you're never going to be satisfied, man, because these people are covetous, man. You know, they get a little bit of money. Well, no, I got to keep up with the next one. They call it keeping up with the Joneses. You know, because that's a reference to, let's say you live on a block with somebody and you always compare it to the neighbors. The neighbors got a better house. The neighbors did the landscaping better. They pulling up with a better whip. And then, you know, if you're a covetous person, then you're going to feel like you're looking bad. Instead of saying, man, I'm grateful to even be on this block. You know, I'm grateful to even be in the position I'm in, you know, focusing on the blessings we have, because there's many more people, you know, in America, it's a land of plenteousness, even though things are happening, but still relative to the rest of the world, Americans eat good. You see, you got other countries, you know, you got countries like Haiti, you got countries, other countries throughout the world, you know, countries in Central South America where there's extreme poverty, man, you know, the likes of which a lot of Americanized Jakes have not seen, man. You see, or they don't really think about. So instead of focusing on, oh wow, these niggas got all these millions of dollars, I want to be like the Migos, I want to be like Gucci Man or whoever the fuck, man, whoever the new main nigga of the day, man. You know, instead of that, we should shift our perspective to be grateful for whatever the Lord gave us, man. Because really, we don't even deserve to be here, man, based off how we transgress against the Lord. But instead of thinking about, you know, what we could potentially be having, you know, we need to be focused on what we do actually have, what the Lord did bless us with, man. Shit, a lot of Jakes, they're maimed, they can't even walk. You know, missing a leg, came out fucked up. They got jabbed up. They got mental issues, man. So it's good to be just grateful, man, to have a grateful mentality. And then the Lord will bless you anyways, man, when you have that type of mentality. This is let's get it in Matthew. All right, because you know the topic of this lesson is pretty much dealing with the taxing of Nero, but also, you know, the fact that in certain riches, you know, it always lets you down. And this is Matthew 6:19. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Right. So whatever you find to be valuable, that's your treasure. That's where your mind is geared towards. If you think the truth is treasure, then you're going to be focused on this. If you think that cars, clothes, and hoses treasure, then you're going to be focused on that. It's all vanity, man. This whole world is set up. It really is like a matrix, man. And it's an illusion, and it tries to suck you in to this vain life, man. You see, that's why a majority of these people are all miserable, man, because you're chasing after emptiness. Imagine you spend your whole life chasing after emptiness, and then when you get to that treasure chest, you open it up, and there's really nothing in there. You see, you decorated, you got all these gold and these millions and the cars, but there's nothing there. It's empty. It's not fulfilled, man. You see, so we are fulfilled through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We got our tough days, the days where the Lord is more merciful to us, the days where you just, you know, getting by, whatever. But overall, man, we are rejoicing and glad that the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua woke us up. So we're happy. We're rejoicing. These people are suffering and we're rejoicing, man. You see? This is Matthew 6:22. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness, right? See, they do have an evil eye, man. That's why their body is full of what? Darkness. Okay? Because what is darkness associated with? Emptiness. You know? When you have light, what does light do? When the Lord set up the sun brings light to the earth, and life comes forth. You see? Light. People go and do things and live their lives during the day. You see? And, you know, deeper than that, we know the light represents this knowledge and wisdom and understanding. So this is what illuminates the path for us, man. So we the real Illuminati on the right hand side, on the righteous sense of it, from the apostles on down, started with our Lord Yahweh Shai. We are the real Illuminati, you know. And there's a scripture. I'll grab that in Baruch right quick just to back that up. There it is, Baruch 4:2. It says, "Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated." See, illuminated, which means what? To be filled with light. Okay, and that's for what? For who? Jacob, which is who? The Israelites. All right. Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve the Most High Mammon. And it's just remarkable the things that people do for money, man. You know, Mammon representing money, okay, which people have turned money into an idol. All right, that's why you see these people doing bugged out shit. You see there's weird Israelites out here that do a bunch of weird shit. A lot of them are agents. And Esau, it's very simple. It's not this whole complicated, spooky thing. It's just this simple. They don't have money. Esau has money, and he has plenty of resources to give it out, you know, and he spends millions. This is what he does. This is Esau, what he does on his free time. He spends billions upon billions of dollars to get all these other little sellouts, a little bag. All right. And what do? They come out here and now you're an Israelite. Go out there. We're going to tell you what to say. You're going to do this and that, you know? And that's what happens, man. That's why you see all these bug outs out here, man. You know, all of a sudden, you Jakes want to talk about being an Israelite. Now y'all care so much. And every time you pop up to say something, it's to come against the order that's been set up. We don't deal with camps. There's a lot of misogyny in these camps all of a sudden, you know. But when we teach out certain, you ain't with the Lord, man, and the Lord ain't with you. All right, because you can say you with the Lord, but if the Lord ain't with you, that don't matter, man. A lot of people proclaim that they for the Lord, man, but the Lord ain't really with them, man. And that's how you know, because they're not getting into these scriptures, and certain scriptures that we bring out. All we're doing is teaching the Bible. So if you think it's misogynistic, we can go into the scriptures that says that a woman needs to shut her mouth, man. What does it say? That the woman should be in silence, all right? In all subjection, man. It's misogyny, it's domestic violence, it's this and that. Like, the inner workings of our lives, man. Here it is, you a single mom, but you want to talk about some having a healthy marriage. You don't know no damn thing, man. These women that come up here and pop up scoffing against the truth, man, but got a headscarf talking about she knows she's an Israelite. That don't fucking matter, man. If you know you're an Israelite, that's great, that's cool, but you got to be in the right doctrine and the right spirit, man. We're not just saying everybody come up here because you're an Israelite, man. All right? You pop up and and now all of a sudden you got a head wrap. You did a wardrobe change 5 minutes ago, and now you done got the deep secrets. The Lord is just dealing with you. Cut the bullshit, all right? But ultimately, the Lord, he's sifting all these things out, man. This is Jeremiah 17, and I'm going to go from the 5th verse, all right? Dealing with you that trust in this system, all right? Jeremiah 17 and 5, Thus saith Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord, right? Making flesh your arm. That means what? You trust in man. You trust in whatever ruler, whatever leader, whatever country, which right now is America, Babylon the Great. Okay, for he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness and the salt land, and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, that's the elect, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river. Yeah, meaning what? We're rooted in Yahweh Shai, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall she cease from yielding fruit. Right, we are fruitful. So that means what? We continue to edify. This is part of our fruit. When you go on our pages, it's like picking the fruit and eating it when you click on these different lessons. You see? So that's an example of what? Being fruitful. Okay. And also other newer brothers and sisters coming up that are fruit, that listen to these lessons and get edified. They become fruit. So the elect will be fruitful, man. But you see all these scoffers and people that talk shit, they come up, they got no fruit. They got no edification, no works. We know we're going to be saved by faith, but faith without works is dead. So your works is an expression of your faith, which all praise to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua for even putting the spirit on us to begin with to do these works. We know the glory goes to the Most High, but again, if we're deciphering and we're to be as judges, we're seeing that you over here got a whole paragraph for a brother's video, but when we click on your page, there's no edification. So the only thing you could use YouTube for is to come against what is, but you don't have nothing of substance to supply of your own. You see? So everybody's supposed to drop following this and then follow you and just be in what? In darkness. Like we read in Matthew the 6th chapter, man. Because you have an evil eye, because they're covetous, because they want what we have. And since the Lord didn't give it to them, now they got to divert away from us and make their own brand of the truth. But there's only one truth. You can't make up. There's not 7 different truths, man. There's one truth. Okay. So the elect will be that fruitful tree, man, that has the deep roots. All right. The Lord waters that tree. The tree is plentiful. Its leaves are green. There's a lot of different diseases that trees can get too. The Lord will keep the elect trees, which trees are compared to men in the scriptures, man. All right. Oftentimes. Okay. You even have the incident where the miracle where Yahweh Shai healed the man's blindness, and when he started coming to, he said that he saw men as trees walking, man. See, because it was still blurry. Okay, but the point being that men are compared to trees, and what are trees supposed to be? Fruitful. It's supposed to have a green leaf. You know, a tree that's going to be fruitful, for the fruit to bear, for the fruit to be healthy. The tree itself has to be disease free. It has to be clean. You know, there's different diseases for the tree. All right, where, you know, if the tree is diseased, then the fruit that comes from it will be diseased. You see, if the tree doesn't have rich, you know, roots to dig into the soil and get all the nutrients and minerals, then the fruit is going to be sour, you know. And that's what it is with a lot of these other Israelites, man. Let me grab this real quick. I got a couple more and I'm gonna close this out. This is Luke 12 and 15, and it reads, and he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth. You see? So that's not what determines the quality of your life, man. A quality life is a life that is serving the Lord, man. Whether you have abundance or you have little. But the scripture also says that I forget where it's at, but I'm paraphrasing it, but you know, the Lord has never the righteous has not been forsaken, man. You know, you will not see the righteous begging bread, because the Lord will work with them, man. You're not gonna have, you know, crazy abundance. You know, sometimes the Lord will bless you with more than what you usually have. But overall, we're supposed to be content and happy with the portion, whatever portion the Lord gave us, man. All right. Because America is a gluttonous society. So, you know, they try to push that vibration of you just have, you know, you just have extra and extra and be a glutton, and just, you know, you don't have to be fat to be a glutton. You know, you have spiritually gluttonous people, man. Like Nate is a spiritual glutton. You see, because he wants all the attention to be on him. He wants the glory. He wants the praise. You see, and where is the praise for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, man? If you notice, a lot of these other camps, they talk that talk, but they don't really get into the aspects of Yahweh Shai, man. They don't really get into Yahweh Shai. They don't speak about Yahweh Shai a lot, man. You see, they're too busy stuck on Jesus anyways, man. That false name. Here it is, you're an Israelite camp. You've been around for decades in the truth, so called, and you can't teach the true proper name of the Lord, man. That's the spirit of a Christian, man, because certain Christians, they make excuses. Well, we don't know the Hebrew. The Hebrew is hard. I can't learn it, but it's really, you can't learn. It's 4 letters, man. Yah-ha-wah. And Yahweh Shai's name, all right, is, I think, 5 letters. Yah-ha-wah Shai. Yeah, 5 letters. These are not complicated names, man. All right. The names are very straightforward. And if you have the passion and the Lord is dealing with you and open your mind up, you will receive the names. You might not say I'm perfect at first. You might struggle a little bit. The Lord is very merciful and patient and understanding towards us, man. But overall, over time, you're going to want to, this is not just any name. This is the name above all names. These names are the names that we call upon in trouble and that we pray to. This is the name of the Most High God and his beloved son. So you would think that you would take the time to learn it. But ultimately, even if you do take the time, the Lord got to open your mind to do it anyways, man. All right. But they are covetous, man. These people are covetous. I got a couple more in Proverbs. I'm going to close this thing out. But this is, yeah, I'm about to get back to work anyways. Go ahead and grab a couple more. Y'all got on any on the comments you want to add? You know, Lord's Walk can get into a couple of those. But this is the book of Proverbs. I'll get right to it. Proverbs 22 and 7, and it reads, the rich, Salakia, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender, right? So that's why Esau Edom, he is the lender right now. The rest of the world is the borrower, even dealing with the other nations. That's why a lot of those nations, they got really fucked up by them tariffs, man. A lot of the nations, they've came crawling back to Trump to try to make a deal with him, man. You see, because they are ultimately the lender. They're the ones that got the fatness of the earth. They rule everything, man. Because who's really Nero Trump? You know, he's really just the voice of the Amalekites. He's the Amalekite advocate, which I think Trump himself is a Temanite. You look into his history, I think it goes back to Germany. But he's like the mouthpiece of the Amalekites. You see? So basically, you know, he don't his money is really small compared to the elites, the bankers and everything. Even though Trump is a billionaire and he has, you know, what I know, I think he has like hundreds of businesses, man. But the point being that, you know, they're able to do these things and apply this type of pressure because they have the fatness of the earth. Okay, but what they don't realize is that when all the nations come together, you know, it's going to come down to the nukes at the end of the day, because economic wars lead into actual wars. Okay, because when you try to take the food out of somebody's mouth, all right, let's say, for example, I'm gonna give you an example, like a lion, right? Lions and hyenas, for example. Let's say the lion has its kill, right? Okay, that's considered like its money, its value, it's something that it deems valuable. The hyenas might not directly attack the lion, but let's say they went for the lion's food. That's considered a direct attack on the lion, because if I don't defend my food, I'm gonna starve to death. So basically, you attacking me. You see? So even though you think it's just dollars, no, this is actually like you sitting here, got your hand on somebody else's plate and say, "Give me that, I'm taking it." How is anybody gonna react? They're gonna react violently. You see, now eventually we know that's what it's gonna come to, but the chip gotta happen, the mark of the beast. So we watching for that. All right. But again, the borrower is servant to the lender. That's why we're all basically, you know, in this society, we're peons, man. You know, we don't have any power to, you know, we can't take down the government or none of that. All right. So we have to wait on the Lord to do that. This is Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Right. Wealth gotten by vanity. What does that remind? That reminds me of these OnlyFans bitches, man. That's wealth gotten by vanity. You know, a lot of people get their money in America in a lot of sick and twisted ways. And I mean, that's because look at how the rulers, the elites, they got their money, they got their wealth by enslaving the Israelites. Man, the first stocks that was sold were so-called black slaves, man. All right. So that was what was exchanged first. Okay. I'm gonna get that quick, and I think it's in Sirach. See if I can remember where the scriptures are. It might be Sirach 21. Yeah, and that's why this kingdom is going down, because everything that you got is by deceit and thievery, man. This is Sirach 21:9. It's in 29, 21:8. He that buildeth his house with other men's money, which America is likened unto the so-called white man's house, right? Which he built it with other men's money, other men's valuables, right? Is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial. So all of the wealth and the gold bricks that you got laid up, which they may or may not have in Fort Knox, wherever they got it at. All right. That's all likened unto the stones for the tomb of your burial. Okay. The congregation of the wicked is like tow wrapped together. Tow is basically like kindling, different sticks that you use to make the fire get hotter. And the end of them is a flame of fire. You see, at the end of them is a flame of fire to destroy them. And that's what all of this, ultimately, this is what they're going to talk, you know, their political gesturing and posturing and things like that. But ultimately, we know that it's going to lead to World War III. You know, there was a report recently that Russia said they're not going to defend Iran if, according to prophecy, you're going to have to. You could not want to. You might not want to get tangled up in it. But guess what? You're going to do it because the Lord said you're going to do it. You nations, you don't have your own. There is no such thing as free will. You nations, you don't have a say in this. The Lord said you're going to be a guard to those nations, so you better figure it out. All right. Now they might try to circumvent but ultimately the Lord is gonna just bring your ass right back in, man. You're gonna put the hook in your jaw and you're gonna be dragged right back into the shit. You see? You don't want to fight? All right, the Lord is gonna make something happen. Putin might get knocked off. Or the Ukrainians, they might use a nuke in Russia somewhere. So you're gonna be dragged into this shit one way or another, whether you like it or not. Okay? I'm gonna go back to First Timothy, the 6th chapter, though. I wanted to grab this. I got like one more in Proverbs. I could close this out. This is back in First Timothy 6, and I'll go back to where was I at? 8. Yeah, First Timothy 6 and 8. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Right. If you got food in the fridge, man, even if it's a little bit, something to put on the plate. If the Lord gave you a hot meal to eat last night, then you're blessed, man. If you got clothes on your back, man, you blessed. That's why the Lord said having food and raiment. What's that? The basics. Okay. But they that will be rich will fall into temptation and a snare. Yeah, as it is written that it shall come as a snare upon the earth, right? Why? Because people love money, they love gain, they love to have material things, tangible things, but they don't think about the eternal riches of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. We're gonna have everything that you people chase after. The Lord is gonna give that to us anyways, man. But we put the truth first. Okay. And the kingdom, the Lord is going to give it to us anyways, man, even before then, because we're going to spoil the Egyptians. But our mindset is always towards this. And then having that mindset, the Lord is going to bless us, man. Money is like a guillotine choke, with the guillotine choke. Sometimes if you try to struggle to get out of it more, you tighten the grip. But if you lean into it, then you could press your arm on a person's throat and then pull that wrist out and pop your head out. You see? But if you constantly are chasing, and that's all our people are about is the bag. If it's money, they're with it. They don't ever have a sense of, no, I'm not gonna do that because that's gonna compromise my integrity. You see? Again, gain is godliness. You see, they think that to serve the Lord. That's why people who do the most wickedest shit that are not with the Lord, these women, they don't cover up and they want to talk about the Lord 24/7, man. You see? And we don't make a grand show and we don't blow a trumpet about, we do blow a trumpet on the highways and hedges, but in our personal life, we don't go everywhere and proclaim ourselves to be the men of the Lord. We actually hide that. But yet the Lord is dealing with us. But the people that are out there professing that they're so godly and that they're so holy and that they love the Lord the most, they're the ones that are offending against the Lord the most, man. You see? Again, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition, right? Because chasing after that bag, that's what it'll get you. All right, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. You see? They've coveted after, because if you don't have it and somebody else has it and you want what they have, that's covetousness. You see? That's why when you see something that somebody else has, you got to just say to yourself, that's what they have. That's what the Lord gave them. I'm going to focus on what the Lord gave me. You see? We may not have the flyest whips, Hey, some brothers do got a nice whip. Yeah, I'm in this little Hyundai, man. I'm cool with this. This shit get me around 200,000 miles, whatever, but this shit's still rolling, baby. The water Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So be grateful, man. Just be grateful for whatever the Lord gave you, man. We all got to be grateful for the portion the Lord gave us. And even when you apply it to the spirit, you see certain brothers and they have certain gifts that the Lord gave them, gifts of prophecy or gifts of history or gifts of languages or gifts of, how they speak and the way that they're able to see certain things, and then we can't covet after other brothers' spiritual gifts. Be grateful and ask the Lord to bless us more, if anything, but don't covet after what another man has. That's the point. All right, this is yeah, that was it on that. All right, but again, that love of money, that's what's tying people up right now, and that's why they're going to take that chip, because they don't want to lose out. They can't see anything beyond this. They're like, shit, if you can't beat them, join them. All right, Proverbs. I read Proverbs 13. This is yeah, I think I'm gonna close it out with this one. All right, Proverbs 19 and 17. He that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. You see? So that's going into what? Us being charitable amongst ourselves. And the Lord will bless us up later on. So during these harsh times, where money is going to be tight and different things, we have to be even more charitable, amongst ourselves, because there's power in this, in the grouping of the saints right now, how the Lord put us in connection with each other. You may not have certain resources, but another brother might be able to help you, or another brother might be able to give you an opportunity to better your situation. All right. So we're not, just to give some balance to this message, you're gonna, we all have to make a living, and we all have to get a certain amount to take care of our responsibilities. All right. But the point is to trust in the Lord, and the Lord is going to get those things right. And we just work hard and to the best of our ability, and above all, pray to the Lord to put us in the right position. That's why part of the Lord's Prayer, it already covers it, because you ask for what? Your daily bread. You see? Not next week's bread, not bread for a year from now. You don't even know if you're gonna live to a year from now. None of us do. You see? So why worry about them things, man? Focus on, the Lord, he got me right now. Now you could foresee things and make prudent decisions, knowing that things are going to happen. Use prophecy or things that you foresee happening to your advantage, but ultimately be grateful and be content with what the Lord gave us today. You see, and just take it one day at a time, man. All right, because these things are going to keep happening, and the people that are attached to this world, they're going to be suffering. We should be rejoicing regardless of whatever we're going through, man. All right, because remember the mindset of Job, man. Job, even when that happened to him, his first reaction was to do what? To worship the Lord and to say, "Blessed be Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai." All right, so that's the same mentality we ought to have. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. All praise, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. Hey, shalom to the next one.